What's going on? Welcome to the 5-Minute Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Colton Olson, and on this podcast, we spend about 5 minutes, I say about 5, give or take a couple sometimes, breaking down and teaching you to apply psychological concepts that world-class athletes, CEOs, coaches, and elite military units use to take their performance to the next level. The key word here is apply. I don't want you to come here and just get a bunch of information and not know how to use it. I want you to leave here every day feeling like you have something in your hands that you can use right away to improve your life. Let's get to it. As someone who wants to be great at whatever it is that you do, which you are listening here, you want to be great at whatever it is you do, it's second nature for you to be searching for strategies and tactics that other people have used to achieve greatness in any area. So I'm sure many of you have come across a lot of useful information and adopted some of the strategies used by a lot of other elite performers. Some of the most common ones are adopting a growth mindset, practicing gratitude, finding your why, setting goals, particularly SMART goals, etc. There's a lot of good information out there, and all those ones I just mentioned right there are great, and they're necessary. They're things that you should do. But I think there is one common tactic shared by elite performers, people that I would classify as champions, that isn't talked about quite as much as the others. And it's hard to say why it's not talked about quite as much as the others, but I think it's generally because this one requires you to take a little bit more responsibility than the other ones do, and it requires hard work, which can be intimidating, but if you embrace it, it ends up being far more rewarding than it is intimidating. It's not even close. So the one thing that all champions have in common is that they are very intentional about seeking new challenges in a willing fashion. Because new challenges are scary, we often wait for someone else, like a coach or a teacher or a boss, to show us the next challenge we should take on, and then we like to have them help us work through it, which is normal when we first get going, right? We actually don't know what challenges to seek when we first start a certain venture, we first start playing a sport or whatever, so we need them to help us through it. And this works well early on. But eventually, as we progress to higher levels or become more mature competitors, this actually holds us back and slows down our growth because we just spend a lot of time doing the same things as everybody else. Which, as I said, if you want to become great at what it is you do, you shouldn't be doing the same things as everybody else in the same way that they're doing them. So if we want to keep progressing at a steady rate and end up accomplishing really awesome things, you have to be willing to seek new challenges on your own. So I first came across this idea. I was reading Jordan Peterson's second book, which is Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. It's fantastic. And in this book, he shares a phrase that's a Latin phrase. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the phrase in Latin because I don't speak Latin, so I'm going to blow it. But the phrase translates to, "In the filth it is found," which is kind of a weird phrase. In the filth it is found. But what this means is that usually the things we want require us to do things or go to places that we don't want to. AKA, if we want to accomplish things we haven't accomplished or get things we have never gotten before, we have to find new challenges. We have to do things that are intimidating or scary. So reading this then led me to a phrase that you probably saw in the episode title, which is one of my favorites I share with people all the time, and it's champions chase the pain. And when I say champions chase the pain, I don't mean they chase physical pain. Really, it's not like you need to go out and punish yourself physically and hurt yourself, right? What it means to chase the pain, and what it is really just seeking challenges, getting uncomfortable, doing things that scare you. So how can you become someone that willingly seeks challenges and maximizes your growth by doing this? Here are a few tactics. The first tactic: identify challenges or uncomfortable situations that you're currently avoiding out of fear. So when I say fear, this could be fear of failure, fear of physical challenge, right? It might be really hard physically. Or it could be fear of embarrassment or judgment. A lot of times we avoid things because we're afraid of something that might happen. And a few of those are the really common ones. We're afraid we're going to fail, we're afraid we're going to look bad in front of people, or it's going to be really hard. So identify these things that you're avoiding because you're afraid of something happening. And then tactic number 2, ask yourself what you stand to gain and what you stand to lose by seeking these challenges you're now avoiding. When you do this exercise, what you'll see is typically that you have way more to gain than you do to lose. You have a lot to gain and a little bit to lose. So take some time and think about, man, what am I going to gain by seeking these new challenges, and what do I stand to lose? You don't stand to lose much, but you stand to gain a lot. Tactic number 3, make a plan of attack. when you identify these challenges that you're going to seek out on your own, map out how you can take them on and when and where you can do it. When you map these things out, when you make a plan of attack, it just takes a little bit of extra thinking out of the process. So when you get in the moment and you're ready to seek them, you already have a plan of attack and you can just focus on your actions, what you need to do. So make a plan of attack. Those are the 3 tactics, but I want to end today with a challenge for you. I haven't done this before, but I want to end this with a challenge for you. So my challenge is for you to willingly take on one new challenge of your own to start chasing the pain on your own in the next 5 days. In the next 5 days, use those 3 tactics. Identify something you're afraid of, figure out what you stand to gain, what you stand to lose, make a plan of attack, and then get after it. Do this in the next 5 days and see what it does. And when you do it, message me on Twitter, find me somewhere, let me know how it went, because I want to know. This is a really awesome thing to do, and it's really beneficial. So champions chase the pain. Be a champion. All right, that's all we got for today. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review, subscribe, find me on Twitter at RaidoPsych, RAIDOPSYCH, and I'll see you back here next time on 5 Minute Mindset.